I'm going to show you how to make the Crazy Patch mug rug from Kreative Kiwi. And for that I'm going to be using a 5x7 hoop, a layer of cutaway stabiliser, I've got my squizzers, silver thread, masking tape, some pins to secure my stabiliser, and my fabrics and batting cut to size. You're going to start off by hooping your stabiliser, so place it over the outer hoop and then insert the inner part. Then you're going to pin around the top edge of your hoop, take your pin, lay it on top of the inner hoop, push it through your stabiliser and then bring it back round and through again. Load your file into your machine and your thread. I'm going to be using silver throughout this, and then you're going to stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you a placement outline for your batting. Place your batting over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure it. That's also going to give you your placement lines for your fabrics. We've now got our fabric areas, and that's number 1, number 2 and number 3. We're going to lay our first fabric down over area 1, and I'm just going to turn my hoop while we do this. Place your fabric over the outline of area 1, making sure that it overlaps slightly these 2 stitch lines. And you also want to make sure that you leave enough edge for when we come to do the backing, because you're going to have to cut this down, so you need to leave a little bit of a seam allowance. Then you're going to place your second fabric face down up to the edge of this one, and this is going to cover this area here once it's flipped up after it's been stitched down. So once you've got your fabrics in place, just add a little bit of tape just to stop them moving around during stitching. We're now going to pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 3, and that's going to stitch along here and secure the 2 fabrics to the hoop. We're now going to trim up our fabric here, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Pull your fabric over and finger press the crease. And I'm just going to fold this back and crease here a little bit, just so that I can see where the stitch line is going to be for my next fabric, and it just gives me a little bit of a guideline. So now I'm going to take my third fabric, place it face down, and the crease that I've just created here, I want to make sure that it's this side of that crease. I'm now going to pop a little bit of tape just to hold that in place while it's stitching. Pop your hoop back into your machine and stitch round number 4 to secure your fabric. We're now going to trim up this fabric a little bit and leaving once again a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to do the same with the fabrics underneath. You're now going to flip this fabric back and once more finger press the crease so that it stays nice and sharp, and make sure that everything is nice and smooth with your other fabrics in the hoop. I'm going to put a little bit of tape just to hold this flat. You're now going to pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 5, and that's going to secure your fabrics all the way around the edge. Load your thread colour for the stipple quilting for this area here into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 6. Load your thread colour for the decorative stitching that goes along this seam line here into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 7. Your thread colour for the decorative stitching along this seam line here, then you're going to stitch round number 8. Load your thread colour for the decorative stitching that's going to go around the edge of the mug rug, and then you're going to stitch round number 9. Load your thread colour for the coffee cup that's going to go in this area here into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 10. Load whichever colour you want for the initial into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 11. You're now going to add your backing fabric, and I just want to point out that I've cut my fabric the opposite way round to what's given in the instructions, and it's because I'm using up scraps. Place your fabric over the outline of the front, and it's the outer stitch line that you're covering, and then place your other piece over the top, and then you're going to tape it in place. What is important is that you make sure that this fold where the fabrics overlap are well secured, because the foot as it travels round can catch underneath, so make sure that you've got each side of where the travel line is going to be taped down. So I'm going to start by taping the centre and then the outsides, and you're going to do the same in the opposite direction if you've cut your fabric according to the instructions. We're now going to pop your hoop into your machine, and you're going to stitch round number 12, and that's going to secure your backing fabric to the hoop. I've removed all the tape and pins from around the edge of my hoop. We're now going to free this from the hoop. Next, we're going to trim up around the edge of the stitch line, and we're going to leave at least 1/4 of an inch. Because we want the corners to fold nice and neatly, we're going to snip from the outside towards the stitch line on the corners. Make sure you don't cut your stitching though, that's very important. And we're now going to turn it out the right way. So by pushing your thumb into the corner and pushing nice and firmly on the edge, you can get a really nice neat turn. I'm just going to put my scissors into the corner and gently press the seams out, and where we snip it's going to make lie nice and flat. And now I'm just going to go around the edge of my mug rug and I'm going to roll the seam, and that will make sure that it sits nicely in place. So all that remains now is for me to press that, and that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll be back in a minute. So I've pressed my mug rug. There's the back with the envelope back there, and that's the front. I hope you enjoyed this stitch along. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of new videos as they're published. Do pop along to Creative Kiwi's Facebook group. There's lots of ideas, help and information there for everybody. And thank you very much for joining me. You'll find a link to this design along with lots of other information and some discount codes in the video description below.